All right, welcome to Friday Night Magic on our AGL server here. We got feature matches for week 6 of Aetherdrift League. We got Dirk here joining us from Europe here with a little earlier than our normal time slots. How's it going?
Hello there. It's going really well. Thank you for having me. I look forward to see a spectacular finish in the final week of Aetherdrift.
Yeah, well, we got high stakes matches, and we're starting with one right away here. We got Keelan, who is currently in the top 8 going into this week at 18 wins, up against Chris York. And we actually saw his last match on Monday. That was his last match of the week to go 15 and 10. And now this is his first match because, we're right at the turnover. So we're seeing him playing back to back games here, trying to stay alive yet again in week 6 here. And a nice little start for Keelan, despite the mulligan playing his uh, Simic deck here against York's. We saw his Orzhov deck earlier in the week. Very, very scrappy. Very, very different from the green heavy builds we're seeing in the later weeks here. What else does he
Mhm.
have in hand?
Well, he's currently still having a spin out and maximum overdrive, but also running Avishkar Raceway. The rest are just Swamp and the planes he just picked up. So there isn't much more gas.
All right,
Ah,
couple of
uh,
interactive spells, but not too much else.
exactly. He has to make do with his little creatures on the field. I am actually surprised to see Avishkar Raceway in his deck, but honestly, I cannot argue with the results.
Yeah, the black white is very speed heavy. Therefore, just having an extra way to get speed, especially if you're not splashing, putting one colorless land in your deck is completely fine. Um, So Keelan again, he had to take a mulligan here, but he's got a pretty okay hand here. He's got a Keen Buccaneer, he's got a Roadside Blowout, Flood the Engine, and then he's got an Ikoria card, the Migratory Greathorn. That's the mutate creature where you can go get a basic land into play. Looks like
Mm,
he's going to be making a Mighty Molt Tender here, perhaps.
that would be not a bad idea. Great Horn is going to pretty much force one of the two interactions. And also, I don't know though if I am a big supporter of the card, because 3 mana ramp spells usually need to have a very big upside, and in the recent sets we always had some kind of mana dump
Yeah.
stapled onto it.
I mean, the upside is you turn a 1/1 into a 3/4. That would be the upside of that. He
Mhm.
did decide to go with the Keen Buccaneer here just to have an extra blocker, not wanting to basically die to a singular removal here. But it looks like the Keen Buccaneer is going to be getting killed here. And I mean, I I think Keelan's okay with that. Like this Keen Buccaneer is not like a huge part of his game plan, but I think the Embalmed Descendant might be a big part of York's game plan.
That is true, though. Do you think you would have maybe needed the loot to really get to the good stuff?
I mean, I think he has what to do in hand. He has 2 interactive spells and that Migratory Greathorn, so he's not without options of what to do here. So I think he
Mm.
was okay trading his Keen Buccaneer for a trick or removal. I think that's what he was basically telling us by not mutating and just putting that out there. Now he is going to mutate here.
Mm. I
So yeah,
am
go ahead.
I am really curious what made Keelan go into his semicolors, because I am putting also up the deck lists on the side, and he had also really interesting white. But would you like to know what pulled him into green blue?
I mean, probably some good rares or multiple copies of uncommons. I mean, we'll see during sideboarding, but I guess until
Mm.
then we can you can let me know.
Well, actually, there are less rares in those two colors than there are in white. But I think it was the quality. Zeta Varma is hidden in there.
Yep.
Also in blue, there's Possession Engine and Mu Yanling. Uh, the last one of course, would be just fantastic to turn this thing around for him.
Yeah, it might be. Did York draw any spells since our last
Absolutely
conversation?
nothing. I am looking at a desert that is not ending. There's plains, there's swamp, and there's a night market. which
Okay.
is just a little sliver of hope when he cycles it next turn to finally.
Yeah, so Keelan says, I think maybe York might be lacking gas, so I'm just going to flood the engine this and bomb descend in here. Stop taking
Yep.
damage. He did have a hull drifter that he drew for turn, so also known as my boy.
I am calling out wrong. Chris is putting down the night market
Huh,
as another black source.
maybe he's got a triple black spell somewhere there. I mean,
He
I guess
also
we'll
has a
see.
swamp in hand,
Huh.
so I'm really surprised by that.
Okay, that one I'm not. That one I'm interested in knowing more about. I guess we'll see during deck building or not sideboarding. Couple nice cards drawn here for Keelan. He's got the Fang Druid Summoner, which will go get, I'm assuming, a 9/7, as it usually does, and he's got a Ranger's Ether Hive, which is that vehicle that rewards you for activating exhaust
Mhm.
abilities.
Chris finally picked up a non-land, Ride's End. So at least he's not going to die that soon.
Yeah, so what he Keelan's also drawn his possession engine here, ready to grab
Oh,
something scary from the other side.
oh, geez. Keelan is going to put up a lot of threats right now. That single Ride's End has to be used.
Yeah, and I mean he can attack for 3 this turn if he wants, because
Oh, yes.
he could play his Ether Hive, he could crew that, and then put the bike inside the thing inside the thing.
Mhm. This is turning into a clock of, I'm going to say, 3 turns.
Yeah, I mean he's got 3 flying here. I mean York can rides end whatever one he finds to be the most threatening.
I
Um,
assume he's going to wait for the big vanilla creature to
yeah,
hit the board
now he
and
sees a nine
remove it right
seven,
away.
but in the meantime he's
Yes.
going to take a bunch of damage next turn.
Oh, yes.
I mean by a bunch I mean like 5, I guess, or 6.
Yeah. It's just much more hopeful to find a blocker for those creatures. Just got a Grim Bauble. He has the option to play it just to surveil 2 and find an, well, more permanent answer. Because he's not going to kill any creature considering the sorcery speed of the artifact.
I'll say I had 4 Grim Baubles in my deck deep into the league, and whenever I played green decks, they just sort of sat in my hand if I ever drew them late in the game. And sometimes I
Mm.
did pay 4 mana to Surveil too, and it felt very bad, and I did not win those games.
Oh, yes. It's just in desperate times you have to do the desperate plays, and
Oh yeah,
sometimes you find you're out. You always have to believe in the heart of the cards.
yeah. It turns out a deck that's leaning heavy on Grim Bauble was not going to be doing great late into the league. So looks like he's
Mm,
attacking for. Hmm. I mean, he could have attacked. He could have crewed the other vehicle and attacked for 6, but he'll attack for 5 here. Maybe he just
mm.
not sure why he decided to do it that way, but the Ether Hive does have a crew of 1, so it looks like Tarian's going to get exiled here. Keelan can't be too surprised.
Well, finally we found a creature in Lotus Guard Disciple, which is sadly not one of the strong commons in white.
Yeah,
I think it's like in the lower thirds.
yeah. I mean, if
Uh,
you're a speed deck that's pretty low to the ground, it helps you get in. It's good on curve. Like at this point in the game, obviously it's going to be worse than most of the cards that are in either player's deck, but it's a
mm,
curve out card here. Keelan
oh
is
yes.
going to cycle away his night market now, and he's got
Which, by the way,
yeah,
is one of the reasons I love Night Market. It's such a fantastic card.
yeah. I mean, this is like the best version of this we've ever seen, more or less.
Mm,
Um,
I would go ahead.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the best version. There's ones that where the card type mattered, like where it was like a desert or a snowland. But I think just being able to cycle it is better than it having like a coincidental type.
Interesting choice by Default to keep up the reach creature
Yeah,
while attacking.
he also decided not to play his Midnight Mangler. Um, I assume he's looked at York's pool, and I believe York does have a board wipe in his pool, if I remember correctly. And
Yes.
I think he just says, well, this Midnight Mangler is just going to be collateral. York's not playing too much. Maybe he's holding the board wipe. We know that York's just got a bunch of lands. Um,
Yep.
and now he's
That-
highlighting this Midnight Mangler in his hand, wishing it was in play as this Accursed Marauder comes down.
But that is a very good point. Spectacular Pileup would be one of the biggest ways for Chris to still turn this thing around.
Yeah, and I think Keelan figured, well, how exactly can I get punished if I just hold this Midnight Mangler? And York found the exact way to get punished.
Are you telling me slow and steady wins the race?
We'll see. Definitely they're both going for speed, but we'll see who goes the distance.
Hmm.
A Curse Marauder just never been better here, sacking a flooded creature, and yeah, he's yeah. So Keelan sacked the 3/5 vehicle just because he doesn't have any exhaust right now, so it wasn't doing too much.
Considering the meager draws, I actually like that Chris is starting to stabilize and hopefully going to find something on the Surveil 2 next. There's the Possession Engine, and what else is still in Duffel's hand?
He's got the Midnight Mangler that he declined to play last turn, and also
Yes.
a Scrap Compactor drawn for turn.
Oh, that is going to be really useful.
Yeah, so here comes Mangler, here comes Scrap Compactor, and he can use the 3 damage immediately. I don't
Yes,
think he's
but
going to go after the Marauder, but
no,
he has access to that.
absolutely. Having a universal answer is a threat. He is looking at a carry-on cruiser right now and a market back walker.
Okay, those
Uh,
don't seem too bad.
oh yes, the market back walker is exactly what he wants. He uh, turned it from the bottom to the top card, and now
Unfortunately,
has a
yeah, it's primed to get stolen here by the Possession Engine.
yes, yes. But there's a moment of hope in Chris's heart.
Yeah, so funny story. I did play a league match against somebody who played a Markerback Walker, and I stole it with Possession Engine, and then I sacrificed it, and that was that was very crushing.
That oh boy.
It's like, yeah, I'll draw 3 cards, thanks.
Well, must have felt good for you though.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
Keelan can blow up the Markerback Walker with his Scrap Compactor if he so chooses, but yeah,
yes, but this is disheartening.
yeah, this is not what you want to see here.
Mhm. Another reason why blocking earlier makes sense is still keeping Chris from reaching speed 4. He would be able to finally cycle away his lands and dig deeper into the deck for answers.
Yeah, no, makes
Uh,
sense, and he is going to go on the offensive here. Opponent's at 9.
oh,
He has no reason to care about this 2-1. I think he's okay with
mm,
letting his opponent get speed at this point.
yeah.
He said, "I don't know what card he could draw, but I don't think speed's going to be that big of a max speed's going to be that big of a factor. This game's ending in the next couple turns. At least in Keelan's mind, it is."
Which is a fair assessment. I would also now put the foot on the gas and try to finish this before he finds something off note. Although, if Chris were to use his board wiper right now, he would also give Duffel four new cards to get back right back into it.
Does he have that in hand? No.
No,
Okay.
right now he's just hoping. He still has his carry-on cruiser and just drew a right end.
Sounds like he cannot survive.
Um,
Yeah, there's going to be. Well, I
no.
guess no. I guess he could.
Yeah, if he attacks with Possession Engine and Fang Druid or Mangler, he would survive on 1 by using right end on the creature.
Yeah, he could get rid of the Possession Engine and then. Oh,
So this is not over.
looks. No, he did draw a creature to crew the Midnight Mangler now, so he will have
Mm,
lethal here because he'll crew the Mangler with this strategist, crew the Possession Engine with the Walker, and even if the Possession Engine goes away, he'll still get the 5 damage in here.
mhm.
So he rummaged away his land with the Raceway. Him playing the Raceway too, just in a 2-color deck. There's not that much downside to playing a colorless land that can really give you a nice option in the late game.
Absolutely. It's kind of a shame that the lowest rarity one of the raceways is the most useful. Chris definitely put up a good fight, though, considering his meager draws in this game. We are now looking in his deck. He had all four Grim Baubles. He's taking them out for a detention chariot.
I mean, yeah, green decks
Yes.
doesn't look so hot.
Yes, but also there are just so many green decks in this league at this moment, just because of the strength, that sometimes it's just smart to assume Grim Bauble is not going to be useful game one. We are putting in a Galleon strike, two Galleon strikes as well.
I feel like I'd just be running
Much
those in my
better.
main deck most of the time, right? Because
Me too.
worst comes to worst, you cycle it.
Yes, but I cycled it very rarely.
Yeah, you're always
Uh,
filling up on mana.
mm, how is it looking for Keelan?
He hasn't made any changes yet. He's deciding if he wants. I think I saw an essence scatter there.
Mm.
No, it looks like he's bringing in a bounce off. Not sure what he saw that makes him want an extra bounce spell, but yeah,
Against green decks, I would say Chris is still pretty well equipped, even game one, because he is running four right ends as well.
yeah. No, he had a good showing against a Golgari deck in our in the future match on Monday for week 5, and
Mm.
we saw the rides end be very very useful here. So it looks like Keelan is on the draw, cutting a land here and bringing a bounce off.
Very sensible to do.
And York frequently doesn't do too much sideboarding, but I guess today he identified perhaps some of these Grim Baubles are not going to be the best.
The first hand sadly had just one land. The second hand is five lands, which he's going to keep.
Okay, so what's his spells at least?
We have an Engine Rat and
Okay,
the Glory Heath Links again.
okay, not too bad. We got Keelan's on the we'll call it the ramp to nowhere here. He's got two Molt Tenders, a Velo Heart Bike, a Run Over, and some lands. So he's got all the ramp. What he's ramping to, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he draws. But he'll have
Uh,
a bunch of mana.
there's always the adage, anything he draws, he can cast. I
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that myself as a ramp aficionado.
I mean, he's drawn the Ketrodon, so I guess he's set
Oh
up to
boy.
cast it potentially on turn 4 with his
Hmm.
bike next turn.
Chris's draws are much better than last game. He's now having a carry-on cruiser and one of his right ends, so he has an answer for the 6 drop.
All right, so Carrion Cruiser's going to come down. Nice little value card.
Picking up a Gastel Raider, is there currently a target for it?
Yeah, there's run over and stock up here, so he's going to have
Oh, very
his.
good.
So what Keelan can do here is, I mean, I guess he could cast the stock up this turn to play around the Gastel Raider, or he could just play his bike, which is what he was, probably going to do. But the Gastel Raider,
Yeah.
maybe he wants to protect his stock up, so he could just cast it and give up his run over here.
Mm. Which is kind of a tough choice because I would value the removal spell maybe on a similar height as stock up.
Yeah, it looks like he's just gonna play his bike here, which I think was his plan coming into the turn.
Mm.
The
Yeah, he
Raider,
just has to accept he cannot keep both spells.
yeah, the Raider is most like. I mean, I would take the stock up here. Like if I'm York, I'm
Mm.
looking at this hand. I'm saying stock up, get out of here, Ketrodon. I have an answer. You know, he's basically forcing his opponent to top deck here. Oh, took the run over.
Uh,
Interesting.
mhm. I understand Chris's idea though, because even though he is not offering big targets right now, he is controlling the board and he can remove the Catrodon if Keelan chooses to attack.
I mean, I think he's. I mean, he's pretty. It's just if he plays the Ketrodon and it gets removed. I mean, he's not in huge trouble. He does gain the 4 life.
Mm.
Um, I mean, he's behind on board already, so I think playing the Ketrodon is probably the best option.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he just decides to be defensive with it, he is going to be on the winning side, using the stock up next turn to get all the gas he needs.
I mean, York has a ride zen, right? Does he have the land for it?
He now has two rides and right now drew into a Voyager glide car.
Okay, so not able to cast this ride zen just yet. So Ketrodon is going to. I mean, if he's real wanting to get this Ketrodon off the board, he could have attacked his Glory Heath links uh, while saddled and gotten a land. But I think he says, "I can wait. I can find the land naturally."
On the top, Chris found a Thopter's Arrest,
Okay, I mean that'll do
which
it too.
is, oh yes, which is just a fantastic answer against all the big green creatures that have been plaguing this pretty much this whole format.
Yeah, it's just your classic O ring type of card. All right, so now he gets to stock up here and feeling hopefully pretty safe with the Ketrodon. I mean, he's probably aware of all of the ride ends his opponent has, so he figures as soon as another land shows up, my Ketrodon might be out of here.
Mm. Which, now that we know that there is the O-ring incoming, he is going to get an attack for another 5 to 6 damage.
Yeah, I mean, Keelan is going to be able to play a blocker here. He's going to be able to find something to play. Looks like he has the thinking about taking the migratory great horn. Yeah, he's done the
Mm.
great horn and the sabotage strategist.
Sabotage Strategist is just, he has been very annoying this whole league for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I was never bothered. It's a 4 drop that dies to one of my many Grim Baubles, so I was always okay with it. But yeah, I could see it. I could see it being an annoyance for quite a number of decks that don't have too many ways to get it off the board.
mm. Especially because red turned out pretty unpopular. Even for Chris, who has a number of interesting red spells, chose not to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in League, like something being the worst color doesn't matter as much if you have the rares to back it up. You can play anything. I do think something being the best color does have an effect on people's decisions, but I don't think something being the worst color. Like I never looked at my pool and said, "Well, white's the worst color. I'm discounting white." Like if you have, in sealed, you just build what you have.
That is very good deck building advice for the league in general. It's one of the many ways this whole format is just different from draft.
Yeah, but when something is the best color, people are going to gravitate towards it because it has the most like the best commons. So like if you're trying to match up, like if you have like a bunch of rares and uncommons of varying colors that are all somewhat even, it falls to the commons, and green just has better commons, so people are going to play green more often.
Mm-hmm. Subdusarest coming down, but the Great Horn with 4 toughness manages to gum up the board enough that I assume Chris is not going to attack.
Yeah, no, he's doing a good job of defending himself here. Now he's drawn a back on track, which is one of his splash cards here. So he's splashing the back on track and the thundering brood wagon. Those are his only black cards.
Mm-hmm.
And the thundering brood wagon, I mean, technically he has ways to cast it with dismal backwaters and whatnot, and velo heartbike and molt tenders. But I think he's more planning on back on tracking it if when given the option to do so.
Mhm. Would you say it's sensible to splash the Brood Wagon, considering it has double pips?
I
But
mean,
it is the highest win rate non-rare in the whole set.
yeah, I've done it, even though it's not my favorite thing. It's still it does worry me slightly, but the fact that there's ways to reanimate it and that it cycles makes it it soothes the worries a little bit. But I mean, the
That's
card
true.
is obscenely strong. So I'd say if your deck can cast it on a splash, like you could try. It's just it's tough. It's but it's never gonna rot in your hand. So that's the other good part.
Oh, Absolutely. I really think cycling often gets discounted too much. It's silently uh, really useful and really putting many cards over the edge.
Yeah, I kind of discounted cycling at the beginning of the set just because I figured, okay, it's going to be another play booster fast set. A card having the buyout of pay 2 mana, discard it, and draw a card is just not good enough. Like that was my
Mhm.
thought. It's just like in 2025, that's not a good enough buyout for a card if I can't cast it. But turns out the set was a little slower, so cycling was, playing cycling 2 is a fine thing to do. Right, here comes the Rad's
Keelan,
End.
Keelan threatened the exhaust by past priority, not activating it. Most likely already assuming that one of the four rights ends is still waiting in Chris's hands.
Yeah, I mean there was no need to activate it there. Now he's playing
Oh,
probably like the best, one of the best commons of the set, the Stampeding Scurryfoot.
and as an answer, Chris drew another land, sadly.
Hmm.
It's an Ether Hub, which is an interesting one, but it is not what we need right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine Ether Hub is exactly where you want to be in a 2 color deck, but it's a colorless land that you can get a color out of once, basically.
Yeah, I would actually say that it is sensible to use to splash into a two-color deck because the Ether Hub is most likely not going to be needed to fix whatever main color you have, and you are only going to cast your off-color splash once.
Yeah, but I mean, he has enough. I guess it's just a tiny little bit of fixing, but it's only one time. I can't imagine he has other cards that make energy, maybe one.
Mhm.
But the
This would
yeah,
go ahead.
the board's pretty locked up here. There's not too many great attacks that can happen here.
That is true. Though Chris would really benefit from finding a third creature, even if it is a small one, to start activating his Voyager Glide car every turn, putting counters on it, and having a flying blocker.
Yeah, I'm still not sure exactly what to think of the glide car. I know that I played against at the pre-release and it was a super board stall game. I was like, oh man, this card is so oppressive. It's going to be like one of the best rares. But turned out it's like that's not exactly how it's going to work every time.
Yes, it. I did play it most of the league, and it did break a lot of stalls, especially for 1 mana. He already got his scry, he already got some value, and being able to get late game value from something you barely paid anything for is really secretly powerful.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I just think it overperformed the first time I ever saw it in play, and then it came down after, in my estimation. But it's still fine. Oh, here's a creature, but yeah, and so Keelan wisely, with the double block there, decided to. I'm not sure what the double block was. I'm not sure why he double blocked there, but he was able to get the links off the board.
I assume he was preparing for some kind of trick, maybe.
Yeah, but if there was a removal, the 2/3 just dies to the 3/3 if he removes the carrying cruiser. But he's got a seat of armor here, which unless York has a removal, is threatening to do a lot of damage.
My point was not for removal, but for pump spells. If a pump gets cast, the creature would still die to the second blocker.
Yeah, I don't know what pump spells people are still running in week 6, but
I remember Light Shield, but that one you should barely even cast in week 1, honestly.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
even in Keelan's deck, I don't think he's running these. Okay, so he's just gonna
this.
attack here.
Oh, yes. I am actually surprised he's attacking with the Scurryfoot, considering Sitavama is now a threatening creature for next turn to pump up the other two attackers.
Yeah, I would have kind of just waited till next turn, crew the bike, and then have the Seat of Arm activation with all my mana up. But York maybe got spooked by the activation and said, "I'll just take the damage here. I'll go back down to my starting life total. That's fine."
Honestly, Keelan kind of deserved his little title of Mind Sculptor with this one, really getting into his head.
Yeah,
We
that's the first title that I've had access to that I've said, you know what, I want to use that now.
That's really good. We drew into an engine red right now, which is also costs little but can affect the late game really well.
Yeah, so looks like he does have this answer for the Seed of Arma before it can really go
Mm.
off. I think he's. I mean, without anything else to do with his mana, he's gonna just pump it and make his Velo Heart Bike gigantic. Say, well, I'll have a gigantic blocker
I
because I got
don't.
nothing else to do.
Yes.
He's got a back on track in hand, so nothing to cast.
Yeah. Which is also, by the way, we just missed that. That was the thing he was threatening with when he was attacking. He could have already activated Sitavama because she doesn't need to get tapped to activate her exhaustibility.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
we,
it's just yeah.
I would have fallen for it. I openly say that.
Oh no, I saw that I saw that he had that, but I figured he would want to use it on a turn when Seed of Arma could attack, right?
Mm.
That'd be the ideal use. But he said, "Look, I'm here to get in damage, and I'll get in damage however I need to do it."
Honestly, I don't think that would have been ideal. It doesn't make much difference because Sitavama actually gets counter, so she can just attack with the same power next turn, right?
Yep, sure can. So now he's going to
Mhm.
flood the engine here, likely on the rat.
Yes. Now Chris has once the option to cruise vehicles with the wrap before it becomes useless.
Yeah, and now his Voyager glide car can be activated.
Yep. Just this once, but better than nothing.
So he's still looking to attack here. Okay. Huh.
Does he have anything in hand?
He's just got back on track. So I mean, if his
Mm.
Scurryfoot gets eaten by a glide car, is he going to back on track the Scurryfoot? I mean, it's not the worst play. It's not the best play, but
Yeah, he. Well, I'm really looking.
York still says, I'm not buying. I'm not buying what you're selling."
Mm. Which is not a bad idea. Especially because he doesn't know that Sita Farma is going to return.
Well, Seed of Arm is in exile, so
Oh, that's rough.
Sita is not coming back, but this Scurryfoot sure is.
Mm.
All right. You know your one drop is good when you're reanimating it for 5 mana. Your one drop
Oh, yeah.
common creature, like you know they made a good card when. Ooh, a Curse Marauder is interesting draw here. The question is, would he rather have a 2/2 and a 3/3 or a 4/2 and a token? And I think he's gonna
Keelan is most likely going to give up his bike,
yeah,
maybe.
looks like it.
Which is an interesting choice. Can he? He cannot sacrifice the token, so the
Nope.
bike is the next best choice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He says, I'm not giving up my Scurryfoot. I just paid 5 mana to put it back into play. I want another elephant. So and yet again, this Flood the Engine has just given York such a nice combo with his Accursed Marauder.
Mm. Which I don't know if the our league designers were already seeing so far ahead to find this exact interaction in there when they created a custom marauder on purpose into this set.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
it's a cool card. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess there's a couple zombie matters things, and there's a bunch of ways to dig stuff out of the graveyard, and that's an okay one to recur. But yeah,
Most likely,
so
what was also for the Amonkhet flavor.
yeah, makes sense. So he's drawn an island here. Once he attacks, he'll be able to rummage it away with his Raceway.
What does he rummage away? Just another land?
Yeah, it's an island.
Mm. Would you say this kind of board stall happens a lot in Aetherdrift? It's been a lack of card draw the last two games.
Yeah, I mean, in League, I mean, we just anybody who saw one of the future matches from just this past Monday, there was like an 80-minute slugfest. That was just the games were so long and drawn out. Two just green, three color green decks just bashing each other with recursion and value cards. But very
Mhm.
nice draw off the top here for York,
Oh
and
yes,
no possession engine this time for the feel bads.
fantastic. He looks forward to kill it. But he could also block the elephant, put more counters on it next turn, and actually just deny the board and grow it every turn.
Yeah, so in regards to a board stall in this matchup, I think it favors the deck that has large creatures and card draw, which is Keelan's deck. York's looking to get the game over with, faster than Keelan is. Therefore, if the game goes longer, Keelan's likely to be advantaged. But when York gets a market backwalker off the top, looks pretty nice.
Oh yes, he has two market packs in his pool, so it is always likely to draw. And just a fantastic way to fix the weakness of Orzhov with not having enough card draw.
Yeah, market back was another card at the beginning of the format. I was like, is this good enough in 2025? Are we really okay paying this rate for a creature that might draw cards but might also just get exiled or flood the engine or bounced or something that negates the card draw? Turns out format was slow enough that this card was pretty desirable, I would say.
Mm.
But I think if you drop this
Yeah,
into one of the sets we've seen, most of the sets we've seen for the past year, the rate would be a little too bad.
Chris drew into a spin out, which is going to be another answer for a big creature if they come up.
Yeah, not seeing like Keelan has a couple big things, but he doesn't have as many huge creatures as I've seen from some of the other green decks here. Now a spectral interference off the top is not exactly what he wants to see. Looks like he may loot it away here or rummage it away.
Mm. I'm trying to look at
Okay, he discarded the Mangler instead. He's going to keep up the counter here.
Mhm. Having a quick look into Keelan's deck, I also don't see many big creatures waiting in there because it could have been the case that he is just unlucky. But it is not a top-heavy deck in general.
Yeah,
One of the best.
he does have two Terrians, but he's only running one in his deck. The other's in the
Mm,
sideboard. Right, he's drawn a cycling land here, Triome for my Ikoria. So a better night market, but he's gonna cycle it away here. So yeah, lots of nice, this cycling, rummaging, like just digging deeper in his deck while York's kind of just drawing one card every turn and hoping it's gonna be something good.
Yeah, but on both sides, there we use lots of activated abilities right now to dig through the decks or increase power to finally
Yeah,
break the stall.
looks like he's going to dig one card deeper. He's finding a Sky Streak Engineer, which you know might be able to start getting through, perhaps.
The spin out is just waiting to get used. One of the most powerful things we could see Keelan play when the removal is gone is Mu Yanling,
Yep,
who we
that's a good
didn't
one.
see yet.
That's a good one. I mean, if he
Oh,
draws his
she.
Broodwagon, he'll be able to cast it.
Hmm,
So
just.
York's deciding if this 1/3 is worthy of a removal.
Yeah. And I also wonder if he plans to maybe start just attacking with the market back.
I mean, that's a 5/5. You can't ignore it for too long. So I think York
Mm,
figures I want to kill that 1/3, maybe not. But
he also
yeah,
just drew into a siphon fuel.
okay. So now we've got a Terrian drawn, and that might be worthy of York's removal, perhaps. But Keelan does have a spectral interference, but that only counters creatures or artifacts.
Usually I would agree with killing 9/7, but the Market Back Walker kind of changes that dynamic.
Yeah, the market
Because
back
Chris
walker.
would just be happy to watch it die to a big dinosaur.
Yeah, we'll see what York decides to do. He may just decide I don't want to deal with this 9/7.
And he does.
Yeah,
He saw it and just spins it out right away.
yeah. Interesting now that there is going to be a 3/5 flyer on board.
And we are just coming into another hard removal with Right's End.
Yeah, he's definitely got the removal to back up this scrappy suite of creatures that we've seen. And he says it's
Mm-hmm.
time to attack. You'll either take
Which,
6, chump, or let me draw 6 cards. Which one do you want?
not just 6, he is going to most likely. I was assuming he was even pumping it further up,
I think he's going
but
to
now
leave
we
up
can.
the removal for when Keelan exhausts.
Mhm. But keep in mind, Right's End is only 2 mana.
Uh,
Ah, there it is.
I mean, it feels pretty good when your opponent spends 7 mana on a card in over 2 turns, and you pay 2 mana to just get rid of it clean.
Oh yes, Exhaust is in that way one of the roughest mechanics when instant speed answers are waiting on.
I mean, it's still a good mechanic, and I do like that you can't like your exhaust triggers happen even if your creature gets removed because it's just by activating it you get to do the thing, which is not
Mhm.
always the case with abilities like that. So it is good in that sense, but in the other sense, yeah, it can feel bad when you've spent 7 or more mana on something and your opponent cleanly kills it for 2.
The heavy telegraphing definitely incentivizes patient players, and we are now seeing another counter for bigger attacks. We have a Gallant Strike for another hard answer for any big creature showing up against us.
Yeah, Keelan did draw a bounce off, so that can set back this market block walker into the Stone Age here.
Oh, jeez. Let's see if he wants to.
Guess he blocks first just in case, but yeah, York's gonna have to recast it. It'll only be a 3/3. So
Mm.
all that mana.
It's just another slight setback, though.
Yeah. I mean, we
But
talked
it's fine.
like I talked about trading 7 mana for 2 mana. Now we're talking about trading like 18 mana for 1 mana or something like that.
But that is the kind of math that shouldn't really be done in Magic that much, because there are always trades like that. I mean, especially with removal, where you take away a 6 mana creature for 2 mana, and
Oh, there we
that
go.
was a smart idea.
I like that. I
Yes.
like drawing 8 cards. I was like, I don't want to reset this and put 20 more mana
Oh
back
yeah.
into this. I want to draw 8 cards
Seasonal action.
immediately. I mean, I don't even think he needed to put another counter on it. He could have just drawn 7 and had
Mhm.
extra mana to play something. But
Oh yeah.
I can
Like
never be mad
Chris,
about that many cards being drawn.
absolutely not. Just with by giving up a single galleon strike for which he doesn't have targets anyway, he is now in the driver's seat. He has a collision course, a detention chariot to remove more stuff, 2 risen necro regions who already have their requirement met to start filling up the board with zombies, and a Lotus Guard disciple to regain life if he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, Keelan has some good stuff, but I don't think he has anything to come back from all of these things that are going to hit the board.
Yep. Also, he has an Avishkar Raceway, which is going to be able to loot away the single planes he drew to further find stuff.
Yeah,
But right now,
Mu Yanling off the top is nice, but I don't know if
nice,
it's
but
gonna contend with all that we're about to see.
yeah. Sadly, she is late to the party, and she is most likely getting her fuel siphoned really near.
That stands as a very reasonable decision to get that off the board. Yes.
We drew into a haunted nightmare.
Yeah, we did see that come down in the match earlier this week on turn three with opponent not having played a three drop. So
Oh
which is
my.
about the best you could ever have that card be. I think every other scenario is not that desirable. Like at this point in the game, you don't really want to put that card on the stack. But
Mm,
the good news is he's got plenty of other stuff to put on the stack. But the spectral interference that Keelan did not rummage away, even though it wasn't looking too hot, is probably going to get something decent here in the next turn or two.
it was very amusing for me to hear you say you shouldn't want to put Haunted Nightmare on the stack. Meanwhile, Chris was putting it up there and hovering his mouse over cancel or next, but chose to cancel.
Yeah, like I mean, there's just better things to do, I imagine. Putting a death
Mm,
touch counter on
yes.
opponent's creature. I mean, yeah, he could kill whatever creature that the counter goes on, but okay, he is
Well,
he is casting it. All right, testing the waters here for a potential counterspell, maybe.
oh, I mean, it does make sense because he cannot put the counter and something and then just remove the thing entirely.
I mean, he's just going to put on the 1/1, I assume. So Keelan's deciding if he wants to use the counterspell now, but York can pay for it.
Mm. I think York might just not be too intimidated by Muyang because activating her ability for the card draw asks people to crew the creature and attack with it, which is not what Keelan wants right now. He's now getting pressured into staying defensive.
I'm still not sure if I want to cast that 4/5 here, but yeah, York knows his deck pretty well, so he thought it through and figured that would be his best course of action. I think he might have put Keelan on this last card being a counterspell, and he really wants to resolve his Necro Regent.
Well, I wouldn't mind my Necro Regent getting countered if I have a second to follow it up with.
Oh well, Keelan's given up on the counterspell dream here. He said, "You know what? He played around it.
Hmm.
No use holding on to it if it's like basically if my opponent knows it's there or thinks it's there, I don't need to keep the charades up. I'd rather just cycle it away. Right, here's
Hmm.
a brood wagon here that can kill
Oh,
this 4/5 pretty nicely. Or he could kill his
well,
Thopter, or he could kill the Thopter Arrest, get back his Ketradon.
that is one of the best plays Keelan can do, but even that thing is not going to stack up against the massive value two Necro Regents are going to occur as soon as they get into the field.
Yeah, and I think York feels pretty good that Keelan sort of got discouraged and rummaged away his counterspell that he had held onto for like quite a number of turns. And now
Oh,
York's just free to resolve basically whatever he wants.
yes. Which is very, making calls like that really shows his level of experience in the game instead of just running into counter spells, which I love to do.
Well, make him have it, right? There's one camp that says make him have it. There's another camp that says make him make him use it on something bad or strand it.
Mm.
Here's my less good card. Do you want to spend your counter on that? Let me bait it out. And
Here's
in this case,
Necroregion.
it worked. Yeah.
Necroregion number one coming right up, and
What about number two?
oh yes,
Yeah. So this
and
is going to be holy cow. Yeah, indeed, holy cow. This is going to be a very large board very very quickly.
He paid 10 mana and he's getting plenty out of it.
Also, this glide car is going to become huge. However, both the Ketrodon and this vehicle, for some reason, has reach for some godforsaken reason.
I mean, reach is nice. I think the vehicle, by the way, has reach for a very good reason because it's an insect. Most likely, even looks kind of like a spider. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a lot of
Uh,
things have reach that don't need it in this set.
oh yes. But right now, with the zombies coming up, we are going to see them getting overwhelmed really quickly. I would
Yeah,
say Keelan has maybe 4 more turns before things are going to be over.
yeah. Even if Keelan draws some of his heavy hitters or some of his card draw, it's like the board is now going to be tipped well in the favor of York here, and it's going to be extremely rough for Keelan to find a way to deal 20 damage before these zombies just overwhelm him completely.
Mhm. One of his best finds would be his Transit Mage finding back the possession engine from last game
Yeah,
to take one of the necro regions, which would then fill up the board on his side instead.
yeah, that's a legit draw, but York, probably will find removal and be able to punch through that.
Well, he is still having his detention chariot, which is not as great removal than all the other stuff he has because it can be removed in turn. But with just 2 cards in hand and us waging time is very likely to stay in the field
Yeah,
and
so
maybe even.
this, yeah, so he plays the Ether Hive. He has some exhaust creatures. He just doesn't appear to have like the critical mass that you would want for this card to really be efficient.
Mhm. I did notice in my own deck when I even when went full exhaust. Uh, Sometimes you just don't find them, or you have to use exhaust in the wrong order.
Yeah, so I
Uh,
played a Teamer Exhaust right at the end of the league, and I had four of those Ether Hive, but then I realized I only have like 11 exhaust cards, so I had to cut like two of them and only played two because I was like, wait, it's an exhaust deck that only has 11 exhaust cards. Hmm,
mm,
maybe four of these is no good. All right.
Resolving his detention chariot, further putting on the pressure and taking away the one
Interesting.
death
Taking away the
touch.
death touch. Okay. I mean, I guess it's a permanent one. It's something that doesn't get blown out by the detention chariot getting removed, which I
Mm,
think that's fair. Just say if I remove this Ketrodon or this Broodwagon and my detention chariot gets blown up, that's a way I can really lose this game that is in my favor. I would say so far.
yeah, absolutely. And he can attack with that 6/6 now without fearing any of that. He can just basically force Keelan to further remove one of his large creatures to get rid of the chariot or take 6 to the base,
Yeah, I mean he's going to get in an attack here with the Voyager.
which is a very legitimate choice. Um,
Yeah,
he's very carefully choosing what he's going to tap.
I mean he didn't really even need to give it flying, but it always helps.
Um, I don't think need, but now he's forcing a block by a much more valuable creature then.
Keelan says, "Oh, so finally you're out of cards, so now you just start killing me." You drew 8 cards and you played all of them. He drew 8 cards and within like 3 turns he cast all of them. Like that's pretty great.
Oh yes.
Like he just literally just cast everything. He has no cards left in hand. 3 turns ago he had 8, and now he's just played everything.
Hmm.
Time for the board wipe, he
That's
says.
that single decision to destroy the market by Walker himself really turned this whole thing on its head.
Yeah, and I mean that was a sideboard card too, right? The Gallon Strike. Imagine if that was a Grim Bauble sitting in hand.
Oh yes, absolutely.
we got a different game on our hands if that card was a Grim Bauble. We got a game that might not have looked so hot for York, but with that very crafty play to just draw 8 cards and just you know flood the board here. So Keelan in hand has a Lagak, and he also has the Thunderous Velocipede, that mythic one. But he sees that he's just not going to be able to survive. Even if he survives one more turn, it's the writing's on the wall. So it looks like we're getting a game three here in our first match of the week, which is already, we're already at at an hour, almost an hour here for the first two games. So let's see what the third game has to offer. We did have an 83-minute match, I believe, to for week five feature matches.
Oh, oh yeah. And I am glad this board stall for I forget, maybe 5 or 6 turns got broken in a very memorable way. This is the kind of play I want to see in week 6.
Would you say it's a trademark pending memorable moment?
Oh.
All right.
Although I was really expecting you to pull another racing pun. We only have 1 week to do them.
I'll leave that to you. I'm sure you are fresh and full of them, while I've been doling them out for the last 5 weeks. So
Oh, absolutely. Fun fact, Germany, we love our puns. We are really, really hard on them. And we don't have this whole trope of people groaning onto it. Uh, just recently, I saw an advertisement for a fresh up course on lethal risks of cars and driving and traffic.
I
What
mean,
did they call it? The crash course.
oh, there you go. Also, your highways are famous for not being bounded by mortal things like speed limits.
Oh yes,
Max
absolutely.
speed all the time, perhaps.
The only limit is your will to live.
There you go. I mean, that's kind of how it is at the, when you're going for max speed, right? You're starting your engines.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if you pay for what do you even call the scale showing your speed?
The speedometer.
Yes, if
Yeah.
you pay for a full speedometer, you should also use all of it sometimes.
There you go. Yeah, like half of it just never gets used.
Exactly.
What a
It's a
waste.
waste.
So, what do we got in the starting hands here?
We have a collision course, rights, and crypt caller chariot, Lotus Guard disciple, and 2 more lands. He had the choice to use collision course right now for, though it wouldn't have been one because it counts vehicles, not artifacts.
Yeah, we got a bunch of very good cards in hand for Keelan. Unfortunately, they're just all lands. They're good cards, but they are 100% land cards. Two of them do have cycling though, with the market and the trio. Yeah, so we did see York play earlier in his last feature match a few days ago, the Crypt Caller Chariot, and I mean it was just kind of a beater. He doesn't have too much discard in his deck, like very very little, but it was just like a 4 mana beater, 5/5 menace crew two, and it was doing its job.
Mhm.
But if Keelan doesn't draw lands here, we are not going to have a very long and drawn out game.
Yes, he is going to resolve the Lotus Guard disciple without a target, which is sensible because I do think the ability by the Lotus Guard is not as good as giving something lifelink until next turn. Is just so much worse than lifelink in general. Asking you to attack with your lifelinker for this single boost in life.
Yeah, so a little awkward that he cycled the night market, just because now he's run a possession engine, but he does have the double blue from his molt tender, so it's uh,
Mhm.
it's not too bad.
Yeah, that Moltender did run the risk of getting scrapped, but if Chris wanted it dead, it already would be.
I think this sabotage strategist is probably good enough to prompt a removal here,
I agree.
and the
The
removal being the one
question
that's on
is,
board.
if Chris doesn't feel too threatened, he could cast his chariot and use the collision course to get rid of the strategist to wait for an even bigger target to scrap, maybe late in the game.
Yeah, he could. Oh, you're talking about the crypt chariot, not the detention chariot. right?
Yes,
Yeah, of
Script
course.
Caller Chariot. 5/5 and cares about
Yeah,
cycling.
yeah. Like I mentioned, I don't think he has too much discard. He's just playing it as like just a beater, which yeah,
Mhm.
is
He
fine.
played the engine rat that he just drew into, and I do think he is sitting pretty nicely.
Yeah,
If Possession Engine steals anything he doesn't like, he is going to answer with Collision Course, getting it right back.
yeah. Like possession engine against a deck with four rides ends plus like spin outs and other things. This is not the best. This is not your best possession engine matchup, I would say. Um,
True, but the whole format has lots of rares and mythics that are all very good, but all die to removal. So having such a huge amount of hard removal spells really is a good justification to get into the weak six in general, and also putting up a strong fight against.
yeah, basically, like I think sort of the end game of this league boiled down to playing green or being able to beat green. Because decks that didn't fall into those categories fell by the wayside, myself included.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't
Uh,
green and I couldn't beat green. So what was I doing? I was losing.
Duskmon bucking the trend of green being kind of disgusting is maybe one of the reasons why it's being hailed as one of the great ones of a few years.
I mean, green was still good in that set, but it just wasn't overpowered.
Yeah, I'm saying good is not disgusting, and green players want some nasty
Yeah,
stuff.
I
It's
remember.
just how we roll.
Yeah, green took a dip in foundations. I believe also was at least considered, the weakest or one of the weaker colors. But it came roaring back full force. Yeah, so he did end up taking the engine rat here, just as an annoyance that he doesn't want to fight against. But York says, "I'll take that back, please."
Engine Rat is just the kind of one drop you have to love. It's relevant in almost every part of the game, and it just ekes out wins all the time, taking away the last 4 life you've been staring at for the last few turns.
There was one game I won where I got my opponent from 19 with engine rat. It was a very long, unpleasant game, but it happened.
Yeah, now that we are going to soon switch away from Aetherdrift, I don't think people are going to miss it too much to have this kind of long game.
I mean, we like it for the future matches. Like I got the time committed, so as long as we're not going over into the next time slot, take the full 90 minutes. I don't mind. But
You say that now, it just reminds me of my own feature match, which was maybe one of the of this league.
yeah, we get
I
some
was,
we get some short ones.
yeah, we clocked in at like 17 minutes.
Yeah, that
And,
which was longer than most of the feature matches from All Will Be One League.
oh, jeez.
Yeah, so Keelan, he does have one card left in hand, but it is a good one here with the stock up. So he's kind of drawn out of this mana flood that he found himself in early. But another island here is not helpful, but stock up might be. What's the last card left here for York?
We are waiting with another Gallon strike just
Okay.
for a big target that he's going to most likely find in the stock up.
Well, I see a Mu Yanling getting selected, which does fit the bill of toughness 4.
It's Chris is going to be feeling really good
Yeah,
taking her away as soon as she feels the board on under her feet.
yeah, pretty bad stock up like altogether. The other options were like land, gibberic omnivore, molt tender, and spectral interference. So he took the spectral interference, but can't be
I agree,
feeling
it's
too
kind
good
of
about
rough,
that
but
stock up.
you have to change your perspective on this. He just avoided a lot of bad cards
Oh, yeah, it's
waiting on
true.
top of the deck, getting deeper to something useful.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's just when you stock up and only get like really one desirable card, you kind of feel bad. But he's going to go for an attack here since the chariot cannot be crewed at this time.
I agree with that attack very much, of course. He basically hopes Chris is going to block because there's. Well, Engine Rat just has so much potential.
Yeah, Injurat, very, very useful card here.
Mhm. Of course, it's no stampeding scurryfoot, but what is?
No, yeah, in this set, I mean that is the king of one drop commons for sure.
Oh, I'm just. In general, I really love the quality of one drops last few sets. Even Mold Tender has been really great choice.
Yeah, and I think it's nice because we're used to, at least like in the past couple of years, the one drops just being like aggressive creatures that are going to like define the format.
Mhm.
But here they're like these are not aggressive cards; they're just good. Yeah, here comes the Gallant Strike as suspected, and let's
The
see.
aggressive ones are not even the most egregious. The most terrible one drops are the ones you never want to actually play because they're so bad if you don't play them in the first turn.
Yep, that is my issue with a lot of a lot of one drops in the, at least in the past. So a run over is drawn here. Unfortunately, doesn't have too much power at his disposal to kill this 5/5.
If he really wanted to get rid of the 5/5, he could have held back this attack, declare the blocker, and then use run over on his cycle.
Well, he's going to force York to top deck here so
Yes.
he kills the only actual creature and says, "I'm going to force you to top deck." And did York top deck anything useful?
Sadly not. He got a swamp and he doesn't have the speed to cycle it away.
Sorry about that.
Bless you. So that was definitely the right choice to remove. He found a collision course, which is
I
going to
mean,
deal 1 damage or destroy the bike.
yeah, he's going to destroy the vehicle here.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we saw York get off to like a nice little start. Keelan a little land heavy, but was able to draw out of it, find just exactly what he needed. Another Scurryfoot here is
Yep,
gonna basically oblige York to find his board wipe because I don't think
yep.
there's any other card that can deal with all of this.
Yeah, Keelan really demonstrated play to your outs by destroying this small creature that people would usually not waste removal on, just knowing that if he's lucky and there isn't a Glory Heath Lynx on the top of Chris's deck, he might just get away with it.
I mean, this is still lethal though, right?
We have to keep in mind that the Lynx can lifelink.
He's still got five
Uh,
damage though. He's still got five
yeah,
damage even despite that. I mean,
yeah.
Keelan used his run over because it wasn't getting any better, and he said I could get my opponent down to six, which is
Yep.
what he did. So I can get my opponent down to six, and I have six power on board. So it looks like Keelan's just going to fire off the spectral interference and force York to tap all of his mana here. And looks like the game's going to be done because he's going to have, uh, even if the biggest creature, the 3/3, gets blocked and York goes up to five, he's still got five damage from his other creatures. So
Mhm.
uh,
Strong showing by both players. It was a toss up in each of the games for
yeah,
most of the time.
yeah. This game could have gone either way, really. It was pretty close for the first portion of it, and we do see Keelan pulling away here at the end. Looks like he's just gonna flood the engine on this Glory Heath Lynx to play around like a pump spell that could keep York in the game, because that would be
Mhm.
about the only thing that could cause him to not die, would be to pump the Glory Heath Lynx to gain enough life, and he took away that out too. So congratulations to Keelan on the win. York has made it to week six, but fallen here and has been eliminated. So Keelan continues his march towards the top eight here with his 19th win. Congratulations to him. This is a very, very grindy match. We'll be back in a little bit for our second match of the week.